Labrid from Riga. It is now Sunday morning, shortly before the fourth round, and I'm here to give a quick update on the second and then the third round. On Friday evening, during the first round, Borislava and Rowan arrived from Stockholm by plane. One thing to know is that we organized this whole trip rather spontaneously. Therefore, it was not always easy to take days off work. But we managed to get 7 players to come, which is of course great, and Eric, our multimedia guy. And as I said, on Saturday morning in the second round, we played against our, well, so-called sister team, against Riga Technical University. And it's one of the toughest matches in the whole championship because there are probably 4 big teams, and they're one of them. We already faced them in round 2. So it started with, well, a bit of bad luck in the opening preparation because Basim had only prepared for 1 d4, and then the very experienced Lithuanian Grandmaster Kvainis played e4. Yet they blitzed all the moves out until move 21, Queen d7. And our friend Egons, the team captain of RTU, had actually told me that Kvainis had prepared all of this the night before. But okay, Basim is a strong player. This pawn sacrifice on c4 was probably very interesting. I mean, a5 was still preparation. Basim told me after the game that taking on b3 with the knight is probably not so good because the bishop on b7 is quite weak because it takes a long time to go back to d7. So capturing the bishop pair there is actually not so strong. So they were playing in equal position. Riga got a very strong opening preparation in. I think I can give a little plug for Modern Chess because they're about to release an opening database on exactly this line. So he was using his preparation that he had worked on with Grandmaster Kirill Georgiev. And his opponent, Laura Rogula, spent a lot of time on the opening. So I was quite optimistic about this. Tom played against a guy whose last game in the Megabase was from 2006. So obviously, if the last game was from 10 years ago, opening preparation gets a little tough. And Tom played the Paulsen, which, well, he hasn't played as much as e4, e5. And he got a decent position when his opponent suddenly played a3 in response to b5, which looked, well, a little suspicious maybe, because I mean, Tom got b4 in and suddenly got an attack going. So we were quite optimistic there as well. Rowan played his typical g3 and b3 stuff, which he has, well, he doesn't do that because, you know, he's lazy to play opening theory. He has actually some ideas with it, so some move order play a role in such openings. And Pia also got a decent opening, and it seemed like. And yeah, then things always got better and better. And the first one to win was Rowan. I think he played a very nice game. He just overplayed his opponent. Then I think afterwards Tom finished. He played a very nice attacking game. He was a rook up for a long time, which is, you know, it's usually a good thing if you have pawn up, rook up and only have 3 pawns in compensation for that. Then let me see who was next. I think Pia was the next to finish. She won. Also a very nice game, it seemed like from the outside. Basim managed to swindle his opponent in the time trouble because there's no additional time after move 40. And Riga also won a very strong game, it seemed like. He sacrificed a pawn and had, well, in compensation, a very strong pawn on f6, and he actually delivered mate. Okay, it wasn't on the board. So we beat one of the main teams 5-0, which is, I mean, a huge result, and of course good for the team spirit. So the first round always starts at 11 and the second round starts at 5 during double rounds. So the main thing is obviously to get a good lunch in. Our friend Egons took us to a very nice restaurant not so far away from the playing venue, and we went there with a couple of people from RTU, actually our opponents. So we're also making friends with Wasa in Latvia here, which is important. I mean, yes, as I said yesterday, we want to be not so nice on the boards, but off the boards we're trying to, you know, make new friends. And afterwards, the players took a cab back to the hotel to prepare because we're going to play Riga, the second seeds, who have two players above 25. Sorry, three players above 2,500. So a very tough match. So our players went back to the hotel. Eric and I went to downtown Riga to lay down flowers at the Freedom Monument, because yesterday was the 99th birthday of Latvia, and we figured it would be a sign of respect to do that as Wasa. So we did that, and then we were on our way back to the playing venue when the games had already started. The opening in Basim's game looked quite equal to me. Grandmaster Artur Nexans, also the director of Riga Chess School, and probably there's also going to be an interview coming up with him about the chess school that you can also find on our channel. He blitzed everything else until King G7, so it was clear that he was prepared. What Basim told me after the game was that he had actually played the same opening in a tournament in Armenia that he won. During the summer, he won 3 tournaments on 3 different continents back to back. So obviously, joining Wasa in January has helped his chess tremendously. So we can take all the credit. And on board 2, Riga played an opening that he has never played before, and his opponent got surprised. And I don't think he played the most ambitious against his a6 Queen's Gambit, was the pawn after e takes f3. The pawn structure, and Riga confirmed this after the game, was, not the most challenging, to put it like this. On board 3, Tom played his a line that he sometimes employs when he plays his early f3 move, to get into some more cheap mind positions. But Tom's Kantans played probably the best with a5, a4, and queen a5. So Tom didn't have an objective advantage. Rowan's position, looked to me that as it was, slightly unpleasant. I mean, objectively it might have been okay, but White's play is quite easy to play for the d5 square and to put pressure on the d6 pawn. And Pia's position, it was a very normal position, but her opponent spent a lot of time in the opening. So it seemed to me as if she wouldn't understand the structures all too well, that she had to find her way around. So I was quite optimistic because, okay, Pia has played these structures many, many times in her life. And chess, you need to understand what you're doing. So once Rowan got d5 in, I actually told Tom that it was okay to make a draw, because I was quite optimistic. Typically, as a team captain, I don't get involved in the actual match, besides bringing the players coffee or making sure that's quiet in the room, these type of things. But every once in a while, a tactical draw offer can be quite a good thing. So after Tom played b4, they both had about 35 minutes left for the whole game, and his opponent started thinking. Because the nice thing about a tactical draw offer is, if the opponent accepts it, fine. If not, it costs a lot of time. Because, you could clearly see that Kantans was thinking about whether he should accept the draw offer or not, because he kept looking at the other positions, and he kept looking away. And also, if you didn't then reject the draw offer, it puts a lot of pressure on you, because, you reject a draw offer that, puts, some burden on you to now go for a win. And if you think about this match strategy for them, I mean, we were clearly outrating them on the 5th board, while they had slight rating advantages on boards 2, 3, and 4. So obviously, they should have tried to utilize their rating advantages on the middle boards. And one of our Wettberg wisdoms and Vasa strategies is always, as long as we don't lose any games, we will win all matches. So neutralizing this game was okay. So after about 10-15 minutes of thought, Tom's opponent accepted the draw. Rowan, after he had played d5, at some point transposed into an equal rook in game and forced perpetual, or repetition of moves rather. So we had 2 draws in the match, and there were 3 games still going. Basim had entered the position a little deeper and suddenly managed to outplay Nexans in what seemed to be a very nice game. I'm not sure how objectively the position has to be evaluated, but well, suddenly he got a C-pawn rolling, and Nixon's also had very, very little time, which is always a good thing. And the same happened on Pia's board, because this time control is so brutal. If you don't get added time on move 40, I mean, you're in this endless loop of time trouble. You always live on this 30-second increment, and it's so challenging, especially if you have played a game in the morning. And one of the other thing was that the playing venue was quite hot, so it took me a little bit of convincing to get the arbiters to open a window, because I mean, if you have 20, 30 people in one room, in a, well, not too big of a room, and the oxygen level drops, it's not good for your chess, especially if it's the second game of the day. So Bassam won, and then it was still Pia and Grigor going. Grigor, well, I have a lot of confidence in his endgame skills, but it seemed to be that he was slightly worse. I mean, the computer says 0-0-0, but from a practical point of view, it's quite unpleasant to defend this all the time. Tom told me that he thought White was much better, but like I said, I have full confidence in Grigor, and he also had the better time, so that made me feel more confident about him. Pia was squeezing and squeezing, squeezing. She got this very, very strong pawn on c6, even though she was temporarily a pawn down. And Pia, well, she seems very sweet and innocent off the board, while on the board she's an absolute monster, and so focused, full of energy, and she kept pushing, kept pushing. Maybe she didn't play in the most precise way all the time, but she finally managed to beat her opponent. And then Grigor also almost got some chances, but it was a draw. So we won this very important match against the second seed with 3.5, 1.5. So yesterday we scored 8.5 out of 10, which is a massive, massive result. And it's obviously excellent for our team atmosphere, because we're playing the third huge team, Thermo Echo, which is a team that also has very strong players. They're not as strong as they typically are, because their Belarusian grandmasters are at the Baku Open at the moment. So, but they have Igor Kovalenka on board one, who recently was 2,700. He dropped below 2,700. So it's a massive clash, and we have 3 blacks, so that's always a slight disadvantage. They have a couple of very strong IMs, and they also have the second highest rated woman. She's from Belarus. So yeah, this is going to be a very, very tough match. I mean, we got a little lucky that RTU beat Thermo Echo in the last round, which especially Egon's games, he was lost after 8 moves, or at least a clear pawn down, and he fought like a true Wasa and managed to make a draw. So yes, another big match. I hope a lot of people are watching it. We've received a lot of messages, including from our friend Alexei Shirov, who's currently playing in Romania in the league, and he's following his Swedish teams in his home country, and is hoping that we're going to do well. In the evening, we went to town to see some of the celebrations. Loads and loads of people, and it was very, very well organized, and it was a good way to wind down, because one of the things in double rounds is it's very, very hard to calm down after 2 tough games, because you have all the blood in your head, and to calm down, to actually find some sleep, because energy is the most important thing, and if you don't sleep enough during double rounds, you will at some point collapse. So I hope everybody slept well. I mean, I haven't really spoken to anyone in person this morning yet. I only texted, because we live in 2017, so nowadays even though we're next room neighbors, we're using the internet to communicate mostly. And yes, the weather today is not so nice, so some people will actually take a cab. Usually we walk to the playing venue, which is about a 15 minutes walk. And yeah, well, let's hope we'll continue our good streak, because another Vedbag wisdom I would like to share is the most important thing in chess is the eagerness to play. And after such a great day yesterday, everyone is eager to continue like this. And the next report will probably follow tomorrow, and hopefully it will be another good mood report.